Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Can everyone hear my voice? If somebody can please confirm.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining this morning. We'll do Jai Radha Madhav and then we'll start with our today's discussion. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Nitai Gaur Chandra Gaura Hari Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya. Thank you all once again. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 18 and verse number 22. We all can do the auspicious Mangalacharan prayers together before we proceed with the discussion. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Dadati Vandeham Shri Guru Shri
Kamalam
Shri Guru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam परिजन सहितं
सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देव श्री
श्री
राधा
राधा कृष्ण पादा सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश
गोपेश
गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते
नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन
तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुर्भ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत
will be in
गदाधर
the body
सादि गौर
this
भक्त
morning, early
हरे
morning.
कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय नन्द देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। श्रीमद् भक्त की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. With the blessing of Srila Prabhupada and all of your blessings, we will try to understand this morning's verse, which is Canto 1, Chapter 18. The title of the chapter is Maharaj Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy, and the verse number 22. Yatra nuruktah sahasev dhira vyapoha dehadishu sangam udham vrjanti tatparam hamsayam antayam yasmin ahimso pashmaha swadharmaha. Yatra nuraktaha sahasev dhira vyapohya dehadishu sangamudham vrjanti tatparam hamsayam antayam yasmin ahimso pashmaha swadharmaha. Yatra nuraktaha sahasev dhira vyapohya dehadishu sangamudam vrjanti tatparam hamsayam antayam yasmin ahimso pashmaha swadharmaha.
यत्र अरुणक्ताः सहसैव धीरा व्यपोह्य देहादिषु सङ्गमूढम् व्रजन्ति तत्पारमहंस्यम् अन्त्यम् यस्मिन् अहिंसोपशमः स्वधर्मः।
Yatranurata sahasravadira vyapohya dehadishu sangam udham vajanti tat paramahamsyam antyam yasmin ahimso pashama swadharma. Hare Krishna.
Yatra nurakta sahasaiva dhira vyapohya dehedishu sangam udham vrajanti tat paramahamsya antyam yashme nahimso pashama swadharma. Hare Krishna.
यत्रानुरक्ता सहसैव धीरा व्यापोह्य देहादिषु सङ्गमूढं व्रजन्ति तत्पारमहं पारमहंस्यमन्त्यं यस्मिन् हि सोपशं स्वधर्मः. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Synonyms, word to word meanings. Yatra, unto whom. Anuraktaha, firmly attached. Sahasa, all of a sudden. Ev, certainly. Dhiraha, self-controlled. Vyapoha, vyapohya, leaving aside. Deha, the gross body and subtle mind. Adishu, relating to. Sangam, attachment. Udham, taken to. Vrijanti, go away. Tat, that. Param hamsayam, the highest stage of perfection. Antyam, and beyond that. Yasmin, in which. Ahimsa, non-violence. Upshamaha, and renunciation. Swadharmaha, consequential occupation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential. Purport: only the self-controlled can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Self-controlled means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. And those who are not self-controlled are given over to sense enjoyment. Dry philosophical speculation is a subtle sense enjoyment of the mind. Sense enjoyment leads one to the path of darkness. Those who are self-controlled can make progress on the path of liberation from the conditional life of material existence. The Vedas, therefore, enjoin that one should not go on the path of darkness, but should make a progressive march towards the path of light or liberation. Self-control is actually achieved not by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord by engaging one's unalloyed senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. Purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This perfectional stage of sense enjoyment is called Bhakti Yoga. So those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up their homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. This is called the Paramhans stage. Hansas or swans accept only milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Similarly, those who accept the service of the Lord instead of Maya's service are called the Paramhansas. They are naturally qualified with all the good attributes such as rightlessness, freedom from vanity, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, respectability, worship, devotion, and sincerity. All these godly qualities exist in the devotee of the Lord spontaneously. Such Paramhansas who are completely given up to the service of the Lord are very rare. They are very rare even amongst the liberated souls. Real non-violence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow being, but a perfect Paramhans, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non-envious. He loves every living being in relation with the Supreme Lord. Real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Every living being is dependent on someone else because he is so made. Actually, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, but when one forgets this, when one forgets his relationship with the Lord, he becomes dependent on the conditions of material nature. Renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on the conditions of material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord without dependence on the conditions of matter. This Paramhans stage is the highest perfectional stage in Bhakti Yoga, the process of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So beautiful verse, beautiful purport. So just to keep the things in context, little background. In the previous chapter, chapter 17, Srila Suta Goswami described the glories of the rule of Maharaj Parikshit, how great he was, a great Raj Rishi, who was running the whole kingdom, the whole planet on the basis of, on the foundation of spiritual knowledge, on the foundation of Krishna consciousness, and how greatly he ruled all over the planet. Then in the first section of this chapter, chapter 18, that we are focusing on right now, Srila Suta Goswami, he comes to a little halt. And then sages of Naimisharanya, they encouraged him. They said, how gloriously you have been describing this nectarian, this ambrosial Katha of Krishna. And they encouraged him to speak more and more. That eagerness was to hear, that also encourages the speaker, right? So they said, please continue. We want to hear more. And specifically they said, we want to also know more about Maharaj Parikshit. So in this chapter, Srila Suta Goswami is explaining the events that are leading up to the renunciation of Maharaj Parikshit. So he describes, in the previous verses we saw, Srila Suta Goswami described the power of association of pure devotees, the power of hearing Krishna Katha, the qualities of speaker, the qualities of hearer, the power of holy name of the Lord, the power of Vaishnava Seva, serving the Vaishnavas, the devotees, the unparalleled, the supreme position of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Now in this verse, Srila Suta Goswami is describing about, or actually he is glorifying the self-controlled persons, the Dhiras, who are attached to Shri Krishna. So there are two things, self-controlled people and plus who are also attached to Krishna, right? So both things are here. Now, what is being mentioned here, that such a self-controlled person who is attached to Krishna, they can give up this world, the attachment to this world in an instant. But how is that possible? Is it really so easy if you think about it? So we see many examples, many pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, where the great devotees, they have instantly left all their material attachments. Bharat Maharaj, even Parikshit Maharaj. Even from the perspective of Bhagavad Gita, if we see, there are so many verses which are talking about controlling the senses. But the point is that to reach to that stage, to that threshold, when one can just leave everything very easily, there is a homework required. And Bhagavad Gita talks about that homework. What do we need to do to reach that stage where we can just, we are able to abandon all our material attachments. So when we see from the perspective of Bhagavad Gita, there are many, many verses mentioned, many places Shri Krishna advised. That's why Bhagavad Gita is the foundation. That knowledge in Bhagavad Gita is the foundational knowledge. One of the verses that comes in Bhagavad Gita is Tani Sarvani Samyaya Yukta Asit Mat Paraha Vassehi Yash Indriyani Tasya Pragya Pratishtata. Krishna says, comes in chapter 2, that one who can control his senses, Tani Sarvani Samyaya, control his senses completely, full control, and Yukta Asit Mat Paraha, who can control the senses completely and fixed his mind, his consciousness on me, meaning Krishna, on Krishna. He is the man of steady, fixed intelligence. So Krishna is bringing up the importance of controlling the senses and fixing our mind on him. So both things are required. Very important. That's why I'm repeating this. Just controlling the senses. There are so many people in this world who can control the senses. But what do they do after that? What is the motive of controlling the senses? Plus, fixing the consciousness on Krishna. Both things should be done parallelly. If we only endeavor to control senses, it becomes very dry. And it can lead to a point where we can feel we are deprived of so many things because we haven't got the higher taste. There is no connection, no satisfaction if only we work on controlling the senses only. Such people, they again fall down because of the attractions of the material world. Very difficult path. This is the path of Jnana Yoga. Srila Prabhupada explains. Such is the path of Jnana Yogis. They try to control their mind, their senses. But if it is not attached to something higher spiritual, then they fall down. But Bhakti Yoga, the most glorious path. And it became even more glorious when it came to us through Srila Prabhupada, because he gave us the most practical approach. He gave us the way to re-engage our senses and mind, control them. He gave us the principles, the 4 regulatory principles. And then he also gave us the way to re-engage our mind and senses. He used the word dovetail our senses towards Krishna. Then it becomes a connection. Instead of no connection or lack of connection, now we are connecting to something higher. And it gives us more satisfaction, right? So if we are following the process in a nicer way or as prescribed, we can feel that satisfaction as we progress. So there is a very nice example or illustration that comes in Mahabharata. When Pandavas were in the forest, they were given the exile, right? And then they were going here and there in the forest. They went to a forest. This especially happened actually not during the exile, but after the Kauravas tried to burn them in the Lakshagriha. After that incident, of course, by the mercy of Krishna and devotees like Vidur Maharaj, they were saved. So they were hiding and they went to a forest, and in a village actually in the forest, where they stayed with Brahman's family, very nice family. And then when they were staying there, they found out, or Mother Kunti found out, that there is some distress in the family, which she thought that the family is not sharing with them. And then she tried to inquire from the lady of the house. And then she came to know that there is a demon with the name Bakasur who was troubling the villagers. And he was demanding that every month he needs a lot of grains from the villagers. And he also want them to send one person from their house on a rotation basis. Like we have service on the rotation basis, they have this rotation of sending somebody, some person. So now this time, it was the turn of their family. So she was in great pain. When Mother Kunti came to know, then she said, nothing doing. I have 5 sons, I will send my son. And she knows whom to send, who will take care of this service very nicely. So she convinced that family. Of course, that family was very reluctant because Pandavas and Mother Kunti, they were their guests. But Mother Kunti convinced them, and Bhima goes to be the food of that Bakasur demon. And the villagers fill the whole cart with a lot of grains and rice and everything, fruits, vegetables. And then the big Bhima is going to meet the demon. Now, of course, the fighting starts. Bhima, not so easy to get eaten up, right? He's not a one who will just humbly offer himself to anyone. So Bakasur and Bhima fights. So the way it is described is Bhima was hitting him with one hand, and then when he was hitting, Bakasur was going feet away, getting thrown up. And then using other hand, Bhima was taking the food stuff from the cart and eating himself. See the condition of, think about Bakasur, how humiliating it would have been. Getting hit. Of course, all his food items was getting eaten up by Bhima. The point is that Bhima was hitting the demon, and then with one hand, he was nourishing himself. So that's how a sadhaka should be. Controlling the senses, one hand, fighting with the Maya, at the same time, other hand, nourishing ourselves. Right? Both things are required. So, how do we nourish in Krishna consciousness in the devotional path? With good Shravan, good Kirtan, good quality of Smaran, all the process, the wonderful process given to us by Sri Prahlad Maharaj. The point is that unless somebody is in Krishna consciousness, it is not possible to control the senses completely, or it is not permanent. Another example comes in Srimad Bhagavatam of Amrish Maharaj. Because he was Krishna conscious, right? He was able to tolerate the unnecessary, undue anger of Durvasa Muni. We all know that last time, how Durvasa Muni was angry on Amrish Maharaj. It was undue anger, not required, unnecessary. There was no fault. But still, Amrish Maharaj, very humbly, he was able to tolerate that anger because he was the devotee of Krishna. He never reacted. Usually, if it is not our fault, very easy to react to anyone. Another verse that comes in Bhagavad Gita. I will be quoting few verses from Bhagavad Gita to show the importance of Bhagavad Gita, how important it is for our foundational devotional life. Bahe sparshe eva asaktatma vindati atmani yat sukham. Sa brahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute. Bahir sparshev asaktatma. As soon as our senses come in contact with the object of senses, we have senses, our ears, eyes, all 5 senses, and then there are objects of the senses, which stimulates these senses, right? As soon as the senses come in contact with the object of the senses, for example, our ears will some very passionate music, our eyes might see some scenes, some pictures, some movies. So as soon as senses comes in contact, in touch with the object of senses, they become detached and seek happiness within, right? Unless, when it happens, when our senses are coming in contact, in touch with the object of senses, which are spiritual, which are Krishna conscious. So we start seeking happiness within. And what is our way? The devotees or the sadhakas' ways to engage our senses or feel happiness is to get into devotional service, serving Krishna. Sa Brahma Yoga Yukta Atma. When we are engaged or when we engage our senses in Krishna conscious activities, we are connected with the Supreme Brahman, the source of unlimited happiness, Krishna says. So question comes here is, we are saying that to develop attachment, we have to develop the attachment to Krishna, but it's not so easy. Or we have to develop the detachment from this material world, but it is not so easy. Why is it not so easy? Because the pleasures in this world are very tangible. Very easy to say that, right? That detach yourself, but they are so tangible. This Black Friday weekend, you check your phone, you check anyone watching any internet browsers, media, advertisements just getting pushed to us all the time. Very attractive, this the pleasures of this world. So many attractions in the form of advertisements, hoardings, promotions, media. Maya is just not visible tangibly, it is ultra visible in a big way. At the same time, Krishna seems to be invisible. He's not in front of us. He's not just appearing. What to do? So ignoring these sense pleasure or these objects of sense pleasure is very difficult. People may question, why should I even worry about it? Why should I give up this sense pleasure? What is wrong? I'm feeling happy. I'm enjoying. So Krishna right away answers this question in the next verse of Bhagavad Gita. The previous verse was in chapter 5, 21 verse, and this is 22nd verse. He says, Yehi sam sparsha jab hoga dukha yoninya evate. As soon as material sense says to come in contact with the object of senses, materials, objects of senses, they feel suffering. Because, why suffering? Because most of the time we all know anything we enjoy in this material world, eventually it brings suffering, miseries. This is by experience, any intelligent person can understand. Also, why it's a suffering, misery? Because there is always a beginning and end to the pleasures of this material world. So when it is beginning, we feel happy, but when it comes to end, we feel even more distressed, more unhappy. So now, if somebody can say, okay, now I understand this material pleasure is temporary and in the end it gives us suffering, then what should I do? So the answer is tolerate the urges of material senses. We have to tolerate. Matra sparshas tu kaunteya shitoshna sukh dukha. And how long to tolerate? We have to tolerate. And how long to tolerate? Till end of life. That's the tapasya. That's the austerity. Very difficult. But can be made very easier again when we get a higher taste. Right? Then we don't worry about the lower taste. Right? If I have a old phone, the classic 2.0 Nokia, 15 years old phone, but if I get an iPhone, I will not even worry about that phone. Right? So higher taste. Another verse in Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna says, Tasmat tvam indriyani ado niyama bharat shabha. In the very beginning itself, we have to curb this symbol, this lust. How? By regulating the senses. In the beginning itself, we have to self-control, practice self-control. And the famous verse in Nectar of Instruction, quoted by Srila Rupa Goswami, Vacho vegam mansaha krodha vegam. We have to tolerate the urge to speak, the demands of the mind, the actions of anger and urges of the tongue, belly and genitals. We have to self-control. The point is that our spiritual life, our devotional life, the journey from a sadhaka to become a paramahansa, the pure devotee, starts with self-control. There is no shortcut. That is the point. Even the greatest, the topmost, Rasacharya, Srila Rupa Goswami, he starts with the first verse. Control your senses, your mind, everything, right? And then he talks about the Ras Tattva, Radha Kunda, the Dham, towards the end in Nectar of Instruction. First, it starts with senses, accepting favorable services in Krishna consciousness, rejecting everything which is not favorable to devotional service, dealings with the fellow devotees. That is also austerity, controlling our senses. Without controlling our senses, we cannot deal with devotees properly. We have to abandon this body consciousness. And then proper Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Then he talks about Dham, Radha, Krishna, Radha Kunda, those esoteric pastimes. So a very good homework is needed before a self-realized person can say, oh, I don't need anything now. I can very easily abandon all my attachments to this material world. For the example of Bharat Maharaj comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. Very easily, he gave up everything. It is mentioned by Acharyas. He gave up all his material attachments just like someone gives up or rejects the stool. Very gross example, but this is the example. But we cannot imitate these pure devotees, these Paramhansas, prematurely. Again, both things are needed. Horizontally, we have to start detaching ourselves slowly and slowly, and vertically, at the same time, we have to attach ourselves with something higher, uplifting. Otherwise, if we only focus on attachment with Krishna without controlling our senses, without any sadhana, without austerity, then what may happen? There is a risk of becoming a sahajiya. We might take the devotion process very cheaply. That's a big risk, which is absolutely not good. It will be a big disturbance to the devotee society. And if we see our Srila Prabhupada, that's how he transformed so many lives. People who were engaged in so many sinful activities through higher taste, the higher taste of higher philosophy, forgiveness, compassion, ecstatic devotional music, right? The kirtan, tasteful prasadam. He channelized, he gave them a very high taste. He engaged all their energies in the Krishna conscious projects, right? So that's how slowly and slowly the advancement happened. And after threshold, a big jump in the advancement. Another concept that comes in this verse with self-control is, if we are self-controlled and attached to Krishna, we can renounce, right? So what is the true meaning of renunciation? Is it just a change of dress, change of attire, that somebody takes up to the orange cloth? No, it is not. We'll try to understand in the next few minutes. So renunciation, the true renunciation, as taught to us by our Guru Parampara, is renunciation in Krishna consciousness. So before that even, if you think about what happens in this material world, when someone leaves home to live a brahmachari life, it is very bewildering, very confusing for outside people. They question, what exactly you will do by becoming a full-time? What do you do full-time in the temple? So when we started coming to ISKCON programs years back, our family, when the weekend you called your family from here and the parents and sisters, they used to ask, okay, what is your program for the weekend? I said, we are going for Friday, we have this program, Saturday another program, Sunday another program. Program meaning the congregation program. The whole weekend were packed. And they were like, really? So what do you do? That's what we do. Because they were so much higher taste, right? Very difficult for outside people to understand. Now, for outside people, what does devotion means? That somebody goes to temple for a few minutes, take the darshan, put some money, and take some pieces of sugar candy, come back, continue with their material activities. Very different perspective. Unless you come into the process you cannot really experience that higher taste. I still remember when we started 12 years back, our whole weekend was in Harrisburg. Whole weekend. More than in Reading, we used to be in Harrisburg. And nothing, no credit goes to us. It was just a experience that we were having, and we continue to have, right? So people outside think, oh, I think they are depriving themselves, their kids, from so much pleasures of this life. They're missing on so much joys. And here, devotees are thinking, I'm talking about sincere and fixed devotees, that I wish I could attend more programs. I could get more of association of devotees. But the people outside are thinking that we are missing on the joys of this material world. Actually, there is a story of His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj, which he mentions in the book Juhu story, that when he was working, serving with the Juhu land and all that temple, and how much distress he was going through, how much stress there was with that particular project, and his health was getting affected. So he went for a small trip he came to US, and then just to take a small break and then recover from his bad health. So his father also appointed a psychologist, and he requested the psychologist that, please, my son is getting crazy, please, you cure him. And he convinced Giriraj Maharaj, His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj, to see this psychologist. Psychologist asked the first question, what is your name? Maharaj said, Giriraj Das. Who are you? Next question. Oh, I'm the body, I'm not the soul. Now psychologist started getting bewildered. And then to each and every question, now Maharaj started responding in Sanskrit. So after some time, psychologist gave up and he told his father, please take him back, otherwise he will make me crazy like himself. The point is that the outside world cannot understand the happiness, right? Like Maharaj was in so much ecstasy, so much happiness, he was feeling that psychologist had to give up. They cannot understand this renunciation. So irrespective of the ashram, true renunciation means dedicating more and more of our time, our mind, our speech in Krishna's service. That is the true renunciation. More than the dress, more than the attire, engaging and devoting more and more of our mind, body, speech, our time in Krishna's service. That is the real renunciation. So the formula is maximize Krishna's time and minimize Maya's time. That is renunciation, the true renunciation. Maximize Krishna's time and minimize Maya's time in our life. Now, this renunciation can also happen in different modes. 3 modes are there, right? Ignorance, passion, goodness. So in ignorance, if the renunciation is in the mode of ignorance, then it means renouncing out of illusion. For example, what kind of illusion? For example, the hippies, they said, I do not want anything out of this world. They practically rejected everyone who was over the age of 30. They said, we renounce all this world. This is the example of ignorance, renouncing in the mode of ignorance. Nothing belongs to us anyway, because why it is the mode of ignorance? Because nothing belongs to us anyway. Who are we to reject anything or renounce it? Everything belongs to Krishna. Now the renunciation in the mode of passion, it is like, I will do my duties. It means I'm doing my duties, but they are causing me so much discomfort, so much inconvenience. So now let me give it up. I'm frustrated. For example, the classic example comes in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna. He said, I do not want to fight. It is causing me so much stress to think about. I have to fight with my relatives, my grandfather, my friends. So better for me to go into the forest and then to fight the battle. So passion. Now, what is renunciation in the mode of goodness? So we can have a checklist, right? When we are saying I'm renouncing something, first of all, who are we to renounce anything? But still, we can go through this checklist. What is the quality of our renunciation? So in the mode of goodness, it is like I will be detached from the fruit of the activity I'm performing. So I'm detached with the fruit of the activity, but still my attachment to Krishna is not present. So it is good that I'm not attached to the results of my activities, but I'm still missing the higher concept, the attachment to Krishna. The example of the renunciation in the mode of goodness is Dhritarashtra. When Vidur Maharaj chastises him, very heavy words he says, that you are living in Yudhishthira's house like a dog. And very strong words he used. So Maharaj, so Dhritarashtra, he started feeling detachment after hearing those words. But this is still not, he still was not able to connect to the higher principle, to Krishna. So Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that Dhritarashtra detached himself from material activities, but couldn't develop attachment from Krishna, for Krishna. And why was that? Because he offended Pandavas. Big offenses to the devotees of the Lord. So he could become Dhira, he could become self-controlled, but not Narottama. That's how Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says. That Dhritarashtra could become Dhira, but not Narottama. Who is Narottama? The best of the Naras, the best of men, who attaches his heart to Krishna. That is, he is Narottama. So to transform from the stage of Dhira, sometimes I feel I have been given this name to remind myself again. I have to become so much self-controlled. Transformation from this Dhira to Narottama is only possible through the practice of Bhakti Yoga, devotion service. Mahatma Prabhu, His Grace Mahatma Prabhu shares a very nice story that during Srila Prabhupada's time, there was a sannyas fever among so many devotees. They all wanted to take sannyas. And he says it was good, like everyone wants to do sannyas. Prabhupada must be very happy, knowing that. But the problem was, the reasons for so much interest in sannyas was they wanted to be free from management activities, management services. Another reason was that they see everywhere a sannyasi is going, he has been being offered a nice plate of Mahaprasada. Or another reason was that sannyasis were getting a personal servant to travel with all the time. So those were the attractions. Not to all, but to some devotees. So he was sharing this. And the reason was that many devotees became frustrated with their household family, with their household life, couldn't balance, or couldn't deal with their responsibilities. So they wanted to become sannyasi. Everyone was writing to Srila Prabhupada, I want to become sannyasi, I have a desire to become sannyasi. So when letters used to come to Srila Prabhupada about these requests, Prabhupada's secretary will say, Prabhupada, another letter. So Prabhupada would ask, who is this? Who is that this time? So some devotee's name will be there. So for some, Prabhupada knew that they have the genuine desire. So Prabhupada would approve the request. So Mahatma Prabhu said, when his letter was went, Prabhupada declined it right away. First, he need to start taking care of his responsibilities, and then he can think about it. So very kindly, Mahatma Prabhu shared that realization that what should be the real motive when we are renouncing or we are moving towards sannyas. So sannyas should not be a result of frustration. It is a natural fruit of realizations. It comes as naturally as we progress. And even if somebody doesn't change, his ashram doesn't mean that he is not renounced. And even in Grihastha ashram, somebody could be very well renounced, depending on his consciousness. So even higher up, so we talked about the renunciation in the mode of ignorance, passion, goodness. Even higher is devotional renunciation, which has been shown very beautifully by our acharyas, our spiritual masters, our Goswamis. The pastime of Srila Raghunath Goswami comes, where we all know, in his childhood, childhood itself, he was very much attached to Lord Gauranga. And he used to run away from home almost every day. And his father would have to make a lot of attempts, big attempts to bring him back. And this was in spite of so many riches, very rich family, extremely rich family. Raghunath Das Goswami comes from. Big home, all the comforts, dozens of servants. And he was also married to a very beautiful wife. His parents married him to a very beautiful girl in the hope that will keep him at home. In spite of that, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami used to run away in search of Lord Gauranga. So once his mother said to the father that, I think we should tie him with the rope. So father said, he realized that if such opulences, such comforts cannot bind him, what can this material rope do? So that's the power of devotional renunciation. I have not experienced it, so won't be able to speak about it with so much potency. But the idea is, when we are attached to Krishna and his devotees and their services, then automatically this devotional renunciation will come. It is induced, it manifests out of attachment to Krishna and his devotees. Just like, at least in the initial stages of our Krishna consciousness, we all feel that attachment, right? How much we want to be with only devotees, how much we want to be only in the temples. Now, what happens after that might be another discussion, after some years. But the point is that we have to maintain that excitement in Krishna consciousness. So when we avoid offenses and engage in the right mood in the services, then we can maintain that enthusiasm all through. Another big aspect of renunciation is, Krishna, I'm ready to do whatever you want or whatever you say. Like Arjuna said after hearing the whole Bhagavad Gita, Karishye vachanam tva. Very important point in renunciation. Arjuna's motive, after he understood the philosophy of Krishna or instructions of Krishna, he was fighting not to perform his prescribed duty as a Kshatriya, but he was doing so because Krishna wanted him to fight. His whole motive was to please Krishna. So the most important point in the path of renunciation, which is the important aspect of our devotional life, is abandoning our opinions, our beliefs, our understanding of what I think devotional life is. What it could be our speculation, right? Our misunderstanding also. So ability to abandon all these opinions, beliefs, and misunderstandings. Because we might have the meaning of devotional life based upon our comfort zone. But advanced bhakti means having a spiritual master, a guide to learn from and to practice, to take guidance. It means taking guidance from somebody else, somebody higher up, means renouncing our false ego, our ahankar. So they all come in one package. Like Maharaj Parikshit, as you will see in the future verses, he had all the power to curse back Shringi, who cursed him, but he renounced his false ego. Maharaj Parikshit was very powerful. He was a Rajrishi. So spiritually also he was very potent. But he renounced his false ego and took it as an opportunity to come even more closer to Krishna. He made the right choice and transformed this adversity of the curse into a great opportunity in his life. So wonderful, wonderful examples that come in Srimad Bhagavatam. We can keep talking about them. Another very important aspect of renunciation very quickly is yukta vairagya. So we hear and we say that we have to engage our senses into Krishna's service. That is yukta vairagya. So it is just not about engaging our senses and things we possess in Krishna's service, but the real process, the real way is to first detach ourselves from these senses and those things and then engage them in Krishna's service. Very subtle point. That things that we possess, the senses that we have, first we have to be detached from them. Otherwise, even coming to the devotional service, those subtle anarthas will not go. Those subtle attachments will not go. For example, there was once Srila Prabhupada was in Hong Kong in a very expensive hotel, very luxurious hotel. So a group of reporters came and asked him, Swamiji, how are you renounced? Does it seem like you're in this luxurious hotel, using the comforts of this hotel? So Srila Prabhupada, in his classic way, responded, what is wrong in using Krishna's opulence in the service of Krishna? I can very well go and sit under a tree, live under a tree, sleep under a tree. But would you come there to interview me? No. So I'm using this Krishna's opulence to propagate Krishna consciousness even more. So that should be the consciousness. So colors of dress, externals are not that important. More important is to clean the anarthas in our heart, the gross and subtle both. Another quick story that comes is once His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami was in Pune, in India, and one devotee was serving very nicely Maharaj throughout his stay in Pune. So when the time came and Maharaj was leaving for USA, the devotee said, Maharaj, now you will need, won't you need someone to go with you, to serve you? Maharaj said, with his classical smile, very sweet smile, no problem. If someone is there, very good. No problem. And if someone is not there, that is also very good. No problem. So we see Maharaj always travels alone. That is 100% dependence, what is being mentioned in this purport. 100% dependence on the mercy of Krishna, true spirit. That's all. That's what we see in all our traveling spiritual masters. And Guru Maharaj travels there in India. They're always surrounded by so many devotees. Everything is like given, right away. And when they're traveling outside, no one travels with them. There is not a single line of distress or stress on their face. They are as happy as they were getting served by so many devotees in India. Always eager to preach, go anywhere or to serve Srila Prabhupada. See, the dependence on Lord, it makes one fearless. Completely fearless. The only fear these Paramahamsas or pure devotees have is only one fear, that I should not lose the service of Krishna and devotee. That's the only fear is left. I should not lose the association of devotees. That's the only fear. I should not lose the opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. That is service, preaching, association. This is the only fear that is left. So that is very easy to speak, all these higher concepts, difficult to practice. So please pray for me that I can develop even fraction of this kind of detachment or renunciation to my opinions, my beliefs, my comforts, and can serve, all of us can serve this wonderful Guru Parampara that who have accepted us by their causeless mercy. So thank you so much. I will conclude here. Sorry, I took few more minutes than I should have it. But if there is time left, we can take a few questions, few realizations anyone can share, or even any corrections I might have said something wrong. Please feel free to correct me. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, all consider Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for such a deep class. And actually, after you read the purport, I had to go back and read the purport because every line, every sentence is a class in itself. So I can definitely see why it took you so long, because
That's exactly the same feeling I was having this morning, that I was feeling even more that it should take multiple classes for this course.
yes, Prabhu, every sentence is a class in itself. It's very powerful, very, very powerful. And I really request devotees, when you have time, to reread this purport, not once, but twice, several times, and really meditate on each, because like I was reading the second line here, Prabhu, where Prabhupada says self-control means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. And I had to really think about, okay, sense enjoyment. Let me do some self-evaluation here, It's really, really, really deep. But thank you so much for this wonderful class, Prabhu. And it's really, really deep food for thought. I think it's so important. What I would like to ask, Prabhu, is what makes us not want to be self-control?
Desire. The Prabhupada always says desire. Number one. Number two, the fear of losing out. Right? So sometimes you see that's why that even after we come to the devotional life, there is some attraction left to the previous material life. So fear of losing out, the 100% faith is not there. The lack of association, good association, lack of higher taste. So higher taste will just not can be given like this. It's a two-way process. You have to also try, right? What is being given to you. So the reason one would not try to self-control is because he's still feeling happy in this temporary pleasures. And he's thinking everything is fine. Until some distress. That's why in Bhagavad Gita it is said that people generally turn towards devotional life. One of the reasons is when they get stressed. When everything is going on fine or so-called fine in this material life, people don't, until that later that health challenges will come or some things will happen, people don't turn to self-control.
Yes, Prabhu, when you mentioned the first word, decide, the fear of losing out is what draws us, what attracts us more to sense enjoyment. The fear of losing out, oh, I'm missing out on it. They're having fun, I'm not having fun. I think also what's coming to my mind, Prabhu, is when we have that fear of losing out, like seeing someone having fun and why I cannot have fun, why I cannot do this. I think what's coming back to my mind is also it's a self-evaluation on ourselves of how much we really appreciate the process, how much we really are willing to give up, like you mentioned, renunciation, how much we are really willing to give up and to grow deeper, and remove the weeds of desires and fear of losing out and missing out, they're having fun, I cannot have fun, that kind of a thing. I think it's that deep appreciation of what Prabhupada has given us is lacking.
Yeah, and it's a lack of loving relationship with Krishna and his devotees, because take the example of mother, because mother has a natural love for Krishna, for her child. She can self-control in the form of she will not worry about her food, her priorities. Everything becomes all the priorities are directed towards her child, because that natural love is there for the child. So if we are not able to develop the loving relationship with Krishna, I say Krishna, meaning his service and devotees, then that can also lead up to not worry about controlling self.
That's a very good point, Prabhu. And it goes back to the 6 loving exchanges by Srila Rupa Goswami. Yes. Pretty much, how much we really, execute that. And I know I've said this and shared this a million times, but I will never forget it, is when I was listening to a class, I think a couple of years ago, by a very senior disciple of Jayapataka Swami. And she was saying that out of the 6 loving exchanges, the first 4 we do so beautifully. Giving and accepting prasad, that's an easy thing to do. And giving and accepting gifts, that's a very easy thing to do. But the last 2 is very challenging, because it's like opening ourselves up. And then we have that fear, oh, the world will know me, as opposed to trusting that it's an opportunity for me to work on myself and to improve myself, So I was really thinking about that, because I think that, I think that the last 2, it's so difficult, is because, again, we are fearful of opening ourselves up to be able to receive the help, to be self-controlled. That's what's coming to my
Very
mind.
important point, Mataji. At least we should have at least 2 to 3 persons.
Yes.
Can share our heart all out. They should know not our strengths. They should know our
weaknesses.
They should know.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice points. I have to definitely go back and read this verse and make points, because it's very, very deep purport. Very deep purport. Would like to ask devotees, if you have any questions, any comments, any takeaways, please, do jump right in and share. Would love to hear your thoughts. Would love to hear your takeaways and your realizations. It's always nice to hear and learn from each other.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances of grace to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much. It's a lot of food for thought, especially about renunciation. And I was thinking that maybe I need to write down in my diary all the things I need to renounce, which I'm so attached to right now. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
All grace to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mother.
It's always a blessing to hear from Mother Geeta, because whatever she says, it makes me check myself too. Thank you, Mother Geeta.
Hare Krishna. Humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. In both the purport and in the translation, Srila Prabhupada mentions, because he translates this, and then he also mentions self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment. And when I read can all of a sudden, it just blew my mind right away. Is that quick? Or it's, anyway, I'd like you to comment about it, because
yeah, that's why I quoted so many Bhagavad Gita verses, that to become that self-controlled person, to reach to that point, so much preparation is needed. So a lot of homework is needed, and then once we reach that threshold, then probably it is easier to just totally give up.
Actually, when I was asking this question, before I said comment about it, some thoughts came to mind right away, and that's why I started smiling about it. But and it was just a video of Srila Prabhupada. Somebody was asking, how long does it take for one to be Krishna consciousness? To be Krishna conscious? It is a minute, 1 minute. 1 minute, he opened his eyes and said, you haven't been reading Bhagavad Gita? Then he referred to, you referred to text from Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada also referred to 2 texts, 1865 and 1866. Manmana Baba Mad Bhakto, Mad Adibam Namashkuru, Mavivasashi Satyamte, Pratijane Priyosimi. He commented on that first. So one should always think of Krishna. And I guess the first sentence, always think of Krishna. How long does it take to think of something? In a flash, in a quick, actually, so it comes that quickly. And then, of course, become my devotee, offer obeisance to me, worship me. Then he also said, Savadharma Parityajya Mahami Kam Sharanam Vaja. Aham Tam Sarva Papi. Moksha Isha, I mean, Moksha, he opened his eyes again. Moksha Isha Masicha. So anyway, yeah. So as I was asking that question, I started smiling because the video came immediately. This just You have heard this before, but I said comment about it. Hare Krishna. Anyway, just wanted to
Thank
throw
you.
that out. So that was
That's,
Srila Prabhupada's
that's
response.
wonderful. Wonderful sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Wonderful, wonderful lecture, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, purified senses therefore are always engaged in transcendental service of the Lord. So I was thinking how we can identify once the senses are purified or not.
Okay, that's a very deep question. How to identify whether our senses are purified or not, right?
Right.
So that's why we need a spiritual master. We need devotees, right? So that's why we say serving Vigraha, deity, is very easy because there is no feedback, right? Krishna, we are not at a stage where Krishna will let us know how he is feeling about our devotional service. But
Right.
devotees, if we are open with devotees and able to take the instructions or comments from devotees, they will be the quickest way, right? They will tell you everything quickly, whether they liked our service or not. So if we are able to take the foundational benchmark is if we are able to take those feedback from devotees, and it means we are able to control our senses and our senses are becoming purified. If we are feeling bad about those comments, those reactions, that's a practical way for me to at least understand, whether I'm getting purified or not. If I'm able to take those comments, I might on the face I might be smiling and showing that, yeah, thank you for the feedback. But what am I feeling internally? That's the biggest thing. Am I feeling agitated or not happy about how come he advised me? Then I know, right? So we have to be introspective. That's why this process is multifold, multidimensional. We serve, we introspect, we serve, and we read, we hear, we introspect again, we check ourselves. So very, very nice question, Prabhu. I think it helped me to think more about it actually. So I think that's the most practical way, unless there are any more comments on this particular point.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very nice. Thank you.
Okay, Mataji, it's 9:16.
We were just enjoying the discussion, Prabhu. Thank you. So we even lost track of the time. But yes, it's such a wonderful question, and that, like I said, every sentence is like a thought of, a food for thought, like Mother Gita said. Like even this sentence, purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. And then if Prabhupada says this perfectional stage is called Bhakti Yoga. I think I remember a class by Chandramali Swami. I think it was about a week or two ago that he gave a class. I don't know whether it was for our temple or for his disciples, that he mentioned devotional service and pure devotional service. And he was saying that probably I don't know if Rick should remember us, but I think he was saying something like devotional service is the Vaidhi Bhakti part, and we have to continue to do the devotional service, and slowly it gets purified, where we are always thinking of the of Krishna 24/7. And then I remember seeing a quote by Jayapataka Swami. I think I shared it with you last week there, Krishna Prabhu, on Sunday, where Jayapataka Swami was saying that when there are so many offenses committed, it's very hard to get to the spontaneous level of devotional service. In order to get to the spontaneous level of devotional service, we have to be free from making offenses. So we will continue to stay on the devotional service and keep purifying our senses to get to the transcendental pure devotional, which is the perfectional stage. So I was really remembering those two quotes by Chandramali Swami and Jayapataka Swami, that it's a lot of house cleaning in our minds and our hearts, to get to that level.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. That's wonderful. Wonderful addition to this particular point here.
I was just thinking about that. That was a very powerful point. But yes, thank you so much. And we want to thank all the devotees. And again, Dear Krishna Prabhu, very powerful purport. And thank you for really expanding on these topics. And I highly encourage devotees to please go back and read and make notes on it. And we hope you have a wonderful weekend and looking forward to a Sunday program where we conclude the Kartik month with lessons from Bhishma Dev. We encourage everyone to please come, and we will have a very nice Thanksgiving dinner prasadam for everybody too. So until then, Vanchakapatibhyascha, Kripasindhabhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki
Yeah.
jai. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila